One way that we block our connection to the deeper self is by trying to find resonance with others instead of finding resonance with our deeper self. We have this internal fear of being different, and so we try to match or mimic the outside world instead of tuning into who we really are. Welcome back to the Deeper Self podcast, and I'm Yanique Bell, and we are going to be talking about the fear of being different. So if you've been following along with the podcast so far, enjoying it, and went ahead and purchased the Accessing the Deeper Self meditation, and you've started your morning practice, you may notice I can pretty easily tune in the morning, but then as the day begins, there are certain things that will bring me out of my connection. One of those being how I relate to others and how I think they might relate to me or react to me. And so we all have a little bit of this tendency of tuning out from our deeper self, tuning out from our core. We all have a little bit of this tendency to want to harmonize with others and putting that desire above our connection to our deeper self, especially when we encounter others and we are afraid that they're going to judge us or they're not going to understand us. And so we all have a little bit of this tendency within us because we want to harmonize and we want to find resonance and loving connections, right? It makes sense. We are relational beings. But especially if you are a people pleaser, if you consider yourself an empath, if you have experienced abusive traumatic experiences, especially in childhood, if you come from an abusive family system, you may have a fairly heavy dose of this fear of being different. And as you're beginning your journey of accessing and tuning into your deeper self, you'll notice that you do vibrate differently, that there are these changes that are beautiful and amazing that are occurring within you. You resonate more with joy. You feel more at ease. Maybe things that you used to commiserate about and worry about, they don't worry you as much anymore. But when fear, worry, misfortune, all of these things are the currency to your relationships, it makes sense that a fear of being different may arise. You might feel afraid that you might lose this person, they won't understand you, maybe you'll never find people who understand you, and it's natural for these thoughts and these emotions to prop up. And so as you're tuning into your deeper self, you're starting to resonate differently with others. And not only can you feel it, but they can feel it too. And especially if you're dealing with certain personality disorders or character disorders, or just people who have a hard time empathizing and seeing things from a different perspective, this change within you can feel threatening. It can feel like, oh no, you're changing, your values are changing, or your emotional baseline is changing and I don't know what to do with that, or I want you to stay on my level. You will encounter various reactions as you go forward on your awakening journey. And that can feel very scary, right? We don't want to lose those that we love. And so what do we do? What do we do when we have this fear of being different? Whether we're concerned about losing a friendship or a partnership, or just losing our status in society and people seeing us differently. What do we do? And I'm going to pause us right there because something just happened in that conversation we just had. Did you feel it? When we introduced the fear of being different and we started to think about the fear of being different and all the feelings it brings up and the possible reactions others might be having, our the potential for what can happen next funneled in, didn't it? Did you feel it? Did you feel how it was, oh, I'm loving this beautiful experience that's happening and unfolding within me. I'm connecting to my deeper self. I'm loving how much closer I feel to joy, the access to my own knowing that I'm gaining. I'm loving this, right? And then it was a fear constriction. And then as we spoke on the constriction and as we meditated on it and we spoke on it, the possibilities narrowed and narrowed until we are at this really narrow question. And we're asking ourselves, well, what do I do? If I go forward, I might lose these relationships or lose whatever it is that I'm afraid to lose, right? In this case of being different in this way. And this is what I want to highlight to you when it comes to fear. Fear constricts our thinking and it narrows the possibilities. As we are focused in the vibration of fear, the possible solutions get more and more limited. The kinds of questions we ask are limiting. We actually can't even ask an empowering question when we're under the influence of fear. And so when you notice this happening in your mind, I'm going to invite you to pause, notice what's happened, and just see if you can take a step back. Maybe leave the thought process altogether. Because I wonder, is there another way at looking at this? Because perhaps the choice is not actually a difficult one. So if you've been listening to the podcast, you know that your deeper self is the eternal, ever-present awareness that breeds us all. And it is this aspect of you that is connected to source, infinite intelligence, God, whatever terminology resonates with you. And so let's feel for a different question. So we know now that the deeper self is not just this eternal part of us, it also holds the vibration of what we desire. So it's almost like a magical wish-granting genie, but maybe less gimmicky. Your deeper self is not just expansive because it's connected to source. It's expansive because it is aligned with your desires. So it's so tuned into you, human you, who are going through your physical experience, that it is expanding as it's receiving a desire from you. So the more that you desire, the more that this aspect of you is expanding and expanding. When we're tuning into the deeper self, we're tuning into a version of ourselves, a version of being, a mode of being that is beyond where we currently are, right? Because your deeper self aligns with your desires. It hears you, it loves and appreciates you. And if there's something that you love and want to experience, it starts to vibrate in alignment with that. And so as you tune in, you feel that, expansion of energy because your deeper self is already there. Your deeper self has already gone in terms of vibration. Your deeper self has already gone where you've been desiring to go. And so as you tune in and find resonance with your deeper self, you start to find resonance with your desires. And so when you think about your very rich desires around relationships and harmonizing and how you want to contribute to the world, to your society, to your community. When you think about all the life experience that you've lived, and these desires, they don't just have to be conscious desires that you've spoken or prayed about, right? These desires are collected and noted by your deeper self, even when you are not consciously speaking them. So let's say you're showing appreciation for a beautiful scene in nature. I love coming across a stream, waterfall, any type of water on a hike. That's something I absolutely love. And so I have noticed that the more I share, I express appreciation for these elements, right? These aspects of, my hike, when I come across this, it's like, I feel this pull. Whenever I'm looking for a new hike, I always get this pull, this feeling, this attraction towards those hikes that I don't know what's there, or turns out there is a waterfall, right? I go and I have this surprise, right? This moment of surprise of like, this is what I love to see. And so your deeper self is logging. It's like, it's almost like an algorithm. It's logging what you like and gathering it for you to experience. And so when you think about your desires for love and connection and to be seen and understood and appreciated and celebrated for who you are and not who you pretend to be, or, that person that you maybe project so in order to feel safe or for others to kind of find more palatable. When you actually think about your real desires, where do you think the path is to experiencing that level of love and connection? The question isn't, will I or won't I lose this person or this connection or whatever it is if I allow myself to resonate more with my deeper self. The question is, what is the path to the love and connection that I desire? If my deeper self is in alignment with the highest potential for love and connection, what is the clear path to getting that? It's so obvious, right? It's not dimming my light. It's not pretending to be something I'm not. It's not trying to, tiptoe around relationships or people who are, not okay with me being different. That's actually not the path to love. That's the path to fear. And what happens when we are focused in on fear, our world just shrinks and shrinks and shrinks. Meanwhile, when we actually tune into our deeper self and we come back in alignment and we switch modes and we come back in alignment with our deeper self, we get access to that expansion, that expansiveness, that, oh, what else is possible? What potential for love and connection is here that I can't even receive or dream or even imagine right now because I'm in this mode of fear. Right? So the only real path to the love and harmony and the connection that you want is actually by connecting to your deeper self. So the question isn't, will I or won't I lose this person, but what is the path to the love that I desire? And when we have been in the mode of fear long enough that our vision becomes tunneled in, it's funneled in, and we feel constricted, we feel like, oh, this is like the end all or be all. Like, I just feel like if I lose this, I'm going to fall apart. When we get to that stage, we can't even ask the more expansive question, right? When we're so engulfed and gripped by fear, we don't even have access to the more expansive outlook, the more expansive perspective, and we don't have access to a solution that would actually get us what we want. And I want you to know there's no shame in getting sucked in by fear. It has this heaviness to it. And when we start to become aware of it and tune into it, it feels like we're being pulled down, pulled down, pulled down. And it can feel almost impossible to break free. So I want to teach you a technique. I know when fear has its grip on you, it can be difficult to switch modes and access the deeper self. And so I want to give you some tools to actually use what's happening in your body, use the sensitivity and the hyper focus that fear actually gives you, and almost like use exactly what fear is doing in your body to use it as a portal to get into connection with your deeper self again. I want to show you that fear is actually not a block. It's not a brick wall that you've just face planted into. It's a gateway. It's a portal, and you can use it to access your deeper self. Because ultimately, I don't want you to be afraid of any aspect of your internal reality. I want you to feel empowered with tools to navigate your nervous system and your mind so that you know exactly how to get enough leverage so that you can tune back into your place of power and peace. So if you haven't already, please join me in the Accessing the Deeper Self webinar series. In our third webinar, which is coming up in a couple weeks, I think less than 2 weeks, you can check the full schedule on the website at uniquebell.com/events. In that first week of November, in our third live webinar, I'm going to be teaching you how to use fear as a portal and how to deepen your connection to your deeper self. You can register for the entire webinar series and get access to the replays from the past live sessions at uniquebell.com/events. Join us in the Accessing the Deeper Self webinar series, or you can purchase one event at a time. If you choose to purchase the All Access Pass, you will also receive a bundle of meditations and practices which will help you to access the deeper self even further, with meditations that are focused on specific topics such as money, love, relationships, healing resentment, and so forth. So I hope you can join me live. I want you to feel at ease with yourself, not just at ease with connecting to your deeper self, but at ease with what's happening in your mind as you try to do so. So I hope you can join us. I'm so excited to meet with you live or to see you in the replay. Again, my hope is that with these tools, you aren't afraid of your mind, but you feel empowered to navigate your mind so that you can give yourself the leverage that you need to access the deeper self. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Deeper Self podcast. And I hope that you've already hit subscribe. But if you haven't already, go ahead and hit subscribe. And please leave a rating and a review and comment wherever you're listening. It's so fun to connect with you in the chat. Ask your questions. I'm here to answer them. All right. Thank you so much for listening. And I will see you in the next episode or in a live webinar. I'll see you soon. The link to register for the webinar series is below. You can sign up at uniquebell.com/events. I hope to see you in one or all of those live seminars. The recordings will be made available. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next week. If you haven't already, hit subscribe, comment below, let me know, how are you liking the podcast? Do we like it? Do we feel good about her? Let me know. I'm so excited to connect with you in the chat. And I'm here to answer your questions, and I hope you'll also join me live. I'm so excited to meet with you all in the live series coming up in just a few days. See you soon. I'm so happy. Okay, please tell me I did not have any recording issues. Oh.